Welcome back on the Senior Network. We were discussing hearing aids with Natalie here with Optimal. And tell us a little bit about, you were mentioning earlier in the break about, we were talking about dining halls and being able to hear. Tell us a little bit about what you were talking about, experiencing that.
My patients live in senior residences. Dining halls are a chief complaint in people in hearing aids. We love our big, beautiful spaces and grand rooms with high ceilings and hard surfaces and lots of windows. And all of that just creates almost like an echo chamber, and people in hearing aids really struggle in those types of situations to hear. There's something called a signal-to-noise ratio, and as we age, that can be more difficult to differentiate between the signal, which is speech, and the noise in an environment. And so with hearing aids, we're always trying to make them better and better for people in tough situations, and dining halls is one of the toughest that we face with hearing aids.
And sitting here thinking about that, because you were talking about your dining hall, I know you experience that a lot, right? You see that too? I never really thought about that, but yeah, I can see it now.
It can hold 350 people.
Yeah.
Not that we have that many people there at any one time, but you've got very high ceilings and a lot of windows, and so it makes it difficult.
Now, it made me think, hearing aids and so forth, the reimbursing, how are they, is that private pay that people have to pay for that, Medicare?
Medicare does not typically cover hearing aids. Sometimes a supplemental insurance will. Some people's insurance do have a hearing aid benefit. They're few and far between. I think we're starting to see more and more of that. I think probably the baby boomer generation and their sheer numbers of them may impact that in a positive way for people, getting more coverage going down the road. But as we see it now, I would say less than 10% of the people that walk through my door have a hearing aid benefit with their insurance.
Do you offer any kind of plans to help them pay for that?
Absolutely. There's plans like Care Credit or the Wells Fargo Health Advantage, and they offer long programs with interest, which may not always be attractive to people, but then they offer things like 12 months with no interest. Something that I used with my dog with his surgeries. You spend somebody else's money for 12 months and be able to pay it off, in a staggered rate, which can be very helpful.
Now, the process, because I don't have a hearing aid, but I have a lot of, obviously, patients and clients that do, but if I was referring someone to you, is that someone that they could sit down in one visit with you and get fitted and walk away with that, or is there a timeline there?
No, typically when somebody walks into my office, it's for a hearing test. We don't charge for hearing tests, so anyone can come in and just find out where they stand, get a baseline. But we'll do a thorough hearing evaluation. I think education is very important, so I spend a lot of time explaining a person's hearing loss to them and how it's affecting them or impacting them in their daily lives. From there, if they make a decision to go forward with hearing aids, we do have to order them. We get them in office pretty quick. We can typically see somebody for a hearing test and fit them with hearing aids in the same week. So it can be fast.
Yeah, very fast. And as far as you had mentioned earlier, I'm assuming that part of your role was explaining all the options that they have, right?
Absolutely. And
Rolls-Royce or the VW or whatever, right?
Absolutely. And different hearing losses require different levels of technology. So we use our expertise to kind of assess what their hearing is and then determine, both based on the hearing loss and what they prefer or what they're inclined to, what may be a best fit for them. And things like dexterity, a lot of things come into play there when helping somebody decide on the proper hearing aid for them.
And it kind of circles all back around. We were talking about the dining and pianos and all that, but with the hearing aids, I've noticed too, and I'm sure you've seen this, that socially they kind of pull away when they can't hear, and you kind of find that with somebody, and then all of a sudden you get a hearing aid and put in they come alive again, and they want to socialize and be active. And I know at Seabrook, because I've been there, you guys have a lot of social activities.
Yeah, what I think people don't really realize, as they get older, they can become more isolated.
Sure, easily.
And when that happens, their brains stop working as well. And so put them in a social environment like a place of 208 condominiums and 250 people, now you've created a whole new social outlet for them. And that I think is probably one of the best benefits of moving to an independent retirement
I
community.
absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Depression
You're-
Definitely.
yeah.
I mean, if you're locked up in your house and
Right.
all of your friends have either left or have passed on, family's not close by.
Yep.
And so, and of course, dining provides a good social
Yeah.
scenario. So, but it really is, I think, if anyone is ever considering moving to a senior retirement community place, the fact that it is such a social environment that we help propagate, then you just will never be lonely.
Well, what other events do you folks have there? I mean, you have transportation to take people out
Yeah,
to
the
other places,
folks who don't
plays,
drive.
and
Mhm. Well, either they have individual private appointments that they need. We have a valet car that
Oh, you do?
we
Okay.
can drive them to.
Right.
But if they're going out to one of the shows or one of the symphony events, then we'll have a number of people go. And you see the buses that drive around here that
Right.
have. We have one of those as well to take people to a destination for having a nice social outlet.
I see the Seabrook drivers all the time, bringing them to see me.
Yep.
oh, really? They
Yes,
come
I've
to-
actually gotten to know some of them quite well.
That's great.
Yes.
Joe, what's I'm just curious, thinking of my parents. What's the average age do you see that moving into like an independent living,
You want,
leaving their home and
you want the actual age, or you want the one that people like to throw around? I only say that because I've been in a number of
Sure.
communities, and everybody looks to me to be the same age. I would say moving in probably for a couple early 80s,
okay,
and for a single person it could be about 3 or 4 years older than that.
really?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that there's obviously spouses that's lost another spouse and going back to the social atmosphere and things like that. I'm sure there's other groups for like the ladies have their mahjong card games and things like that going on.
Yeah. Well, I think what happens when one of the spouses passes, the kids seem to step in, especially the daughters.
Right.
Will step in and kind of take over mom's overall moving forward with what she's going to do, and so that helps a lot.
Well, it brings up a good question, Joe. Do you find that because being on Hilton Head Island, most everyone has come from somewhere else and moved to this area, retired to this area. Are you finding that your relocations into the Seabrook are local or from, say, Ohio or what?
It's 85% local.
Really?
Yeah, and the other percentage is coming from folks whose adult children live here.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
they want to come and now be in that same area, since, especially if someone has lost one of their parents.
I understand. Natalie, tell us a little bit about, I feel like we need to talk a little bit more about the options as far as hearing aids. You had mentioned, the telephones and you said, what is it? The
Bluetooth capability,
yeah.
yes.
Tell us a little bit about that, how that would work with a hearing aid.
Many hearing aids these days, particularly the ones that are behind the ear,
Right.
are built in with a Bluetooth capability, able to connect with an Apple iPhone or a Droid in different capacities. And this allows people to adjust their hearing aids from their phone. Things like noise filters or volume control.
Oh, I understand. Okay.
Changing memories or programs in the hearing aid. And then with certain products, especially with Apple products, you can actually take phone calls through your hearing aids. So the phone rings, you answer it, and you can be hands-free while you say you're chopping vegetables in the kitchen and talking on the phone through your hearing aids. So they become a really fancy set of earbuds at times.
Very interesting.
It's pretty cool. You can listen to music or podcasts, stream books on tape, all through your hearing aids these days.
Great. Well, obviously it's the fall time frame now. Joe, do y'all have a lot of activities coming up for this, or is it mainly the holidays you're gearing
They
up
always
for?
do big things around the
Yeah.
holidays. We have happy hours on Mondays and Fridays. When you offer complimentary beer and wine, it gets very well attended, as you can well imagine. But like Halloween is such a hoot because they all dress up. I mean, unbelievable costumes that these folks are wearing. And it's just trip. It really is. But, Thanksgiving, New Year's Eve, Christmas, I mean, they really roll out the red carpet, and it's a pretty big show as far as what our dining offers the residents.
Right.
So.
And we were talking about families and children. Are the families allowed to come in and when you have events like that?
Sure.
Too? Oh,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
not just the residents, but all the family members and so forth?
Yep. Grandkids can come and swim in the pool while they're visiting
Right.
Grandma and Grandpa.
Great information. I learned a lot. I want to thank both of you. We're out of time. Natalie, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And Joe, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Please take a moment, if you will, email us any comments, questions that you may have. And thank you all for joining us here on the Senior Network, where senior care experts come together. We'll see you the next time.